going on, and they're like, "Dude, make sure to let me know how it goes."
Oh, awesome. Yeah, so what should I call you, first of all?
Nick.
Nick? Okay, awesome. I'm Frenzy, you can just call me that.
Yeah, Prince.
Um,
Cool.
yeah, I never know with people because sometimes they have like some different Discord name to what their Metify is, and then,
Young Santa
yeah.
only.
Oh, it's not the worst, don't worry, I've had much worse. Um, yeah, awesome. Where are you from, by the way?
I MDVA,
Yeah.
Little town Roanoke.
Okay, cool. So that's like I want to say like 6 or 7 hours ahead of me. Maybe five. No, I
Yeah,
think
I
it's
think
five
it's like
actually.
6. Yeah, 5.
5 or 6. Okay,
So it's like
awesome.
7 where you are right now.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, cool. Yeah. So I had a quick read through what you put on Metify. Just a little background
Yeah.
you gave. That was really useful because usually I spend about 10 minutes talking to people just about.
Like figuring out what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, exactly right. So
Yeah.
yeah, this all makes sense to me. I think the best way to go about this would just be to just dive into some games straight away and see where we're at.
Figure out where I am. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All
Yeah,
right,
does that
awesome.
make the one part I wanted to ask before we get into the game, does that like make sense like once you get to a certain point like you start trusting people's advice less, like even like
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good players like cuz they just tell you conflicting shit all the time.
Yeah, it's sort of the way I feel about receiving advice from people is it's sort of like you gotta tailor it to your own specific situation, right? Like
Right.
how one person sees the game isn't necessarily how another person sees it, but I think there's nearly always some sort of merit in what somebody's saying. It's just you have to sort of put in a little bit of work to like figure that out
Or what
rather
it means
than
to you.
yeah, exactly.
Cool.
But yeah, let me get these VODs downloaded. Uh,
Are you gonna screen share the VOD?
yeah, I will be.
Cool.
So have you been playing? So I'm guessing Falco, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm playing
Yep. Okay.
Falco.
I get the occasional Fox or whatever sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, has it been Falco the whole time? For
I started in March of 2014. I was a Marth main for 6 months, and then I switched to Falco.
that sounds very familiar to how I started as well.
I saw Mango's Falco. I was like, damn, dude, I want to be like him.
Fair. All right, awesome. Yeah, let me start screen sharing then. Just double check my recording's working.
Cool.
Awesome. Can you see? Okay.
Yeah, I can see.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. So what I usually do, since I haven't watched you play before. I usually like to watch. Let's see how long the game is. Oh, it doesn't say. I usually like to watch either like a couple of stocks of the whole match if it's like
Oh yeah,
what's
your
called
first
short
time
enough.
watching me play.
Yeah, because I don't want to just like see the first interaction and then base your whole 8 years of experience off of one interaction. So
Right.
because melee's
Yeah.
quite deep, as I'm sure you're
Yeah.
aware. So yeah, I usually like to watch a whole stock or even the whole game just to get like the bigger picture.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think the game's too long. Yeah.
Yeah. So what?
Oh, you're cutting out a bit. What'd you say?
Oh, I just said that. So I'm gonna be like watching and jotting stuff down. So whilst I'm doing that, if you want to
Hello.
can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Can
Hey,
you
I
hear
can
me?
hear you now.
Yeah, that was weird. I think it's my mic disconnected or something. Yeah, no, all I was going to say is, so I'm going to watch this and jot some stuff down. So, if you want to have a think, like, while you're watching, just pick out, like, 2 or 3 things that really stand out to you in terms of, like, maybe I've not got any idea what to do here, or I don't know why I got hit, or something like
Right.
that.
Yeah. A point of interest.
Yeah, for sure. All right, awesome. Okay, awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, I think I definitely got some good talking points from that. So, was there anything you want to bring up before we sort of like dive into that?
Yeah, get into it. I thought that during a couple of the edge guards, I should have just grabbed ledge and then just played from ledge instead of just sitting on
Mm-hmm.
the side platform or whatever I was doing,
Yeah.
or by the ledge. And then the other thing I noticed was sometimes during the games, I was doing really good in neutral on the ground when I was just like shooting lasers and pushing them into the corner and like playing that kind of game. And then I noticed the other half, or more frequently, I did like, I guess, lazy approaches, or like a dash attack, or
Mm-hmm.
I would I don't know. Or I'd full hop or try and bait something that way, but it seemed like when I was playing more grounded and shooting more lasers and trying to approach more with aerials that I was getting more success.
Yeah, no, I think that all makes sense, and definitely like two of those things that you said just then about how you're approaching and like the edge guards. I think that definitely links to what I was going to say, which I feel like the three main things I saw, at least, because I don't want to, there's a lot we could talk about in these games, right? But I don't want to
Right.
sort of overload you. So I think, at least for this one, I just want to stick with like three main things. So the first thing I
Oh
want
yeah,
to
let me get a notepad open.
Oh yeah, sure. So I usually leave people a quick summary after as well. But if you want to take
Oh.
your own notes, that's cool too.
Let's put that here. Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah. Okay. So the three things I think we're going to talk about. is going to be there was a lot of Punish game stuff. So we can add to the notes like as you go along with that.
Right.
Because I'll need to use like specific examples. I think thinking about your options when Fox is at low percent, I think was really important.
Okay.
To sort of paraphrase what was happening was you were going for a lot of high aerials or like rising aerials that meant that even if you hit Fox, it wasn't like leading to a combo.
Doing anything.
Yeah, exactly, right? So we don't really want to be doing something that's like really risky but doesn't really get us any reward, right?
Yeah.
And then so we'll talk a bit about that, you know, the sort of options you want to be looking for. And then the third thing I think a big thing I noticed with your gameplay was I felt like you were very reliant on this sort of dash dance into down air sort of like neutral tool. And it sort of started, it worked really well in the beginning, but then I feel like by the end this guy sort of like, not figured you out, but he sort of got a hunch on that, he got a bit of a read, and by the end he was like punishing it a lot harder, right? Yeah. Like I think there was a big difference between the start of this game and the end of this game, so...
Right.
And I'm not going to tell you to like, oh, never do this, you know? Like, obviously, it was working in some way at the start, so... You know, it can work again, right? But it's just sort of like, how do we sort of adapt from that and build upon that tool to, you know, make the rest of our
make
gameplay
it
stronger.
more effective.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like a lot of the time with options in melee, it's sort of like, we can sort of think of it as how can we make this option work by using our other tools, rather than I feel like a lot of people, they see something not work and then they're like, oh, I can't do this.
Oh, I should never do that.
Yeah, exactly, right? But it's sort of like, Melee's so creative.
You, like, surround it with to make it good again.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Melee's so creative and there's so many tools and options you have that, like, you could make basically anything work if you have the nice surrounding, like you said, like the other options to go with it, to sort of complement it.
Right.
So that would be the third thing I think I'd like to go over. But yeah, so we have an hour. There's a chance we might want to go into the second VOD just to see if there's anything else really important. But those seemed like the main things that stuck out to me.
So, punish game, Fox option, or just options at low percent in general, high aerials that lead to nothing, and dash dance approaches.
Yeah. I think that was the main things I wanted to go over. If that sounds good with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so let's jump back to the beginning then. You can still see all good, right?
Yeah.
Yep, awesome. Okay. Yeah, so what we're going to do, so this is how I sort of like to analyze when I'm looking at Punish Game, is I sort of ignore everything else that's going on, and I just sort of pause every time there's like a combo that happens on your end. And as we go through, we'll sort of break down sort of like how I would go about sort of analyzing a punish, basically. So this is the first one you get. So you see how we get down air here, and then the shine doesn't link, right?
I do see that.
Yeah. So this is sort of linked to the second part we were going to go over with like hitting with rising aerials at low percent, but I'll ignore that part for now. So the first thing, anytime you like sort of drop a combo or something like that, I always like to think, you know, is there a way we could have made this work, right?
Yeah.
So have you got any sort of ideas on like what you could have done differently instead of the shine here?
At this, I can confirm that the shine doesn't hit and then shine grab.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. I think the good part about the shine grab, so I think there's a couple things that's good with it. So first of all, it's sort of like a mini option select, where it's sort of like if the shine doesn't hit, then the grab can like hit them trying to shield, right? Yeah. And the other thing that's quite valuable with the shine grab is that the grab has a bit more range to it, right? Like it hits further in front. So I was going to say the other thing you could try and do here is just do a dare into grab, right? Like, why even
Oh
shine if you're gonna grab anyway?
Why
right?
even shine?
Yeah,
that would have been if I would have reacted to the spacing though, which I didn't. I
it was
could
pretty
have done
hard.
either. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty hard. He actually, I think he got some SDI because he was trying to dash away, maybe.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, so that would be how I'd sort of make this work. You could also do some other stuff like maybe down tilt, or if you want to get really fancy, you could walk or dash and jump shine.
One thing oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go on.
One thing I heard Mango talking about that I've been trying to think about is that, like, I could maybe down tilt would work here. Maybe you could get his shield out in time. I don't know, but if down tilt worked, that'd be juicier. But if it really is like between a grab, like Mango talked about how instead of like trying to nickel and dime people, especially Falcos that do like the aerial grab a lot versus Marth, to instead of like in this situation go for the shine grab to do like short hop aerial pressure, double shine pressure to get to go for like a bigger opening.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that's the sort of decision making that really showcases the differences in players at high level. You know, so that's sort of like I feel like that's more of an opinion thing in some ways, where it's sort of like, you know, do you want to take the guaranteed thing, you know, something like the grab that's sort of lower reward, or do you want to try and gamble and get a higher reward, but then you're risking yourself getting reversaled, right?
Right, and I am at the ledge, so that's to consider too. So
yeah, so it's up to you. I mean, I think a blend of both is good. You know, if you start out with all these like guaranteed stuff like the grabs and the down tilts, and then you notice, oh, this guy's kind of bad at dealing with me and shield, then maybe it starts to become a bit more valuable to, you know, hit his shield a bunch and try and outplay that instead, right?
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome, okay. Yeah, so that was the first one. And then we get a nice opening here. So this is what I meant by the dash down air working really well at the start, right? Like I thought this was a really nice neutral one. So let's look at the combo. So you get a shine wave dash. I like that you wave dashed towards the direction of the DI he was going to do. That was DI away.
Right.
I thought that was really important. There's a lot of Falcos here that will wave shine to the right here instead, and a lot of time it loses that combo.
What I try and do is I think it was like from like a Drug Fox lesson or something. It's like you confirm where you hit them, and then it's like, since I like in my mind here, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna shine them on the left side, then I'm gonna wave shine to the left and follow.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I think again that's sort of like the good guaranteed thing. You know, you're always going to get a follow up on all of the DIs they do here.
Right.
But again, if you want to try and make a hard read on someone, there is some merit to going the other way sometimes if you think he's going to try and DI to this platform.
Oh, okay.
Because then you get a bigger punish.
I don't think I play players good enough that do that.
Yeah. And this is why Falco's complicated sometimes, right? Because it's like you don't want to sort of like metagame yourself when you're playing someone that is just, you know, going to do the basic thing, right? But yeah, so I really like this. Your wave dash is quite clean. You got a good dash. I think the part that messed you up a bit here was the waveland was a bit choppy, right? You can see how you sort of like go into your air dodge frames for a while.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I think you still just about had time here if you were to shine, but you tried to up tilt, right?
Yeah, which was much slower.
Yeah, so I want to highlight the time, right? So especially if you'd have got a really clean waveland, then you'd have had more time.
Up tilt might have worked.
Yeah, you'd have had more time to work with, right? But because you got a sloppy, and I don't mean that in a mean way, it's just sort of happens sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, because you got this sort of like choppy wave dash, it means that you have less time to work with. And if you recognize that in the moment, you need to sort of flick the switch and think, I need to do something that's faster.
You need something faster.
Exactly, yeah.
Right. So like you like react to yourself like fucking up and then like, oh, what's the next best option?
Yeah, pretty much. It's sort of like you don't even need to see it happening on screen. Like sometimes you just get a feel for it when you do the input that you're like sort of, oh, I messed up.
Oh, this is too slow, or that.
Yeah. So it's sort of like you either need to go for something quicker, or you sometimes need to just sort of take the L and like play the next situation.
Reset or like pressure where you're from.
Yeah, because like it doesn't seem that bad. Like, oh, I did something that was kind of slow here. But you know, what if Fox gets like a shine on you here, right? Or a shield grab. You know?
Yeah, then I'm fucked.
Like, and you know, all of this that he just got came from you just messing up one waveland, right?
Right.
Like, and that's the sort of like that's how important hitting these punishes sort of is. Not just for the damage you get on them, but also for the damage they can potentially
that they get on you.
Yeah,
I see what
exactly.
you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
So like it's like doubly good to have an amazing punish game.
Yeah. It sort of works both ways. And then similarly, just because we said a little bit about like backing off and just sort of recessing the situation. Do you see how here you so you got out of the shine, you did this downer, which happens sometimes, that's fine. But then you see how you like instantly jump towards him after?
I do.
Right? It's sort of like you're still in combo mode, you're still in I want to hit him mode, right?
Right,
but
yeah.
It's sort of like it isn't your turn anymore, right? It's like you've lost the advantage.
Turn.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
The turn,
right?
so I gotta reset.
You gotta play neutral again, right? And you know, sometimes this down air can work if you have a read, but this felt sort of like I said, like an autopilot. I want to hit him.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, he sort of does the same thing. As you know, he just jumps forward and tries to hit you. But because of how the hitboxes sort of match up here, like your down air hits quite low, and his nair hits low and in front, but he's above you, right? So if you sort of think about the hitbox around here, I wish I had some sort of like on-screen marker.
No. I definitely.
I'm sure you can see it. Yeah. So you know, what if you just waited a little bit and he did this silly nair off the platform, and then you got another hit,
I just fuck him up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I potentially die because I get away with it, but
yeah. Okay. So then we've got another one here. But yeah, so far I feel like all your punishes you've got, I think that it's sort of like the right sort of idea you've been going for. It's just these little like minute details, like was my wave dash a bit choppy? Did I have enough time or space to get a shine? You know,
to
like
get that aerial or shine.
Yeah. So with this one, I thought the nair was a great idea, but you see how like you're just a little bit too far away.
That's so close, bro.
Yeah, you're literally like poking his ear with your foot.
Yeah.
So what I would think about in a situation like this is like, how could I have got this nair to hit, right?
Okay.
Any thoughts on like what you could have done differently with the nair?
Time it later.
Yeah, I think delaying it could be good. Also try and think about the movement leading up to the hit, right? Like you'll see how you sort of dash for a few frames here and then jumped. You know, what if you, for example, ran a bit further and then jumped, right?
Oh, because you could like milk the hit stun longer. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So like he falls down a bit more, and then you're also chasing him sort of like horizontally, because you're faster moving horizontally on the ground than in the air, right? So as soon as you full hop, you're sort of giving up a bit of your
I'm committing to that speed. I never thought about that. That's really interesting.
Yeah, so it's sort of like you see where you jump from here. I think you probably wanted to jump from like just behind the edge of the Pokeball. And then I think you would have got him. But the nair was like a super good idea here. I think like this probably would have led to a kill if you'd have hit it. And then you had a nice outplay again. This dash dance down is working really well versus him.
I think at that point I actually didn't believe that I hit the shine because I kind of stopped there for a second.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah. So I also wanted to point out quickly, just again, because we were talking about like what to do after the drop combo. I sort of liked how you played this one, where instead of like just jumping in with an aerial, you actually lasered. And you lasered back here, which was like quite a nice spacing. You know, he could have maybe hit you if he was crazy and did like dash shield drop aerial or something. But, you know, generic Fox is just going to run off and try and back air, right? Yeah. So I really like this outplay. You didn't try to just, like, jump in and sort of, like, aerial your way through. You sort of, like, spaced around his option, which is really nice. But, yeah, that was another unfortunate drop, right?
Yeah.
But then again, we sort of like don't realize we've messed up, or maybe we're like, I can still get it, right?
I can still get it, and that's clearly not hitting nobody.
But yeah, and it's like, you know, he only gets a back air on you here, which wasn't too bad in the end. But if he'd have got like, you know, ledge dash
he
up
could have
tilt,
killed me.
or up air, you know, like this could have gone very bad, right?
So like, I guess it's like the other two situations where it's like once you realize it's not your turn anymore, then go back to playing neutral.
Yeah, exactly. And that always has to be like anytime something goes like slightly off in a combo, you always want to be assessing like, can I still get this, or do I need to go back to neutral?
I'm gonna write that down.
Yep. And I think it's also very important, and what sort of clouds people's judgment with this sometimes is they sort of get a bit of an ego, right? They're like, nah, I can still get this combo. I'm fucking sick, you know? But, you know, and especially in tournament, you know, it's a close game, and you're like, oh, if I get this one hit, then I'm going to win. Yeah, exactly, right? And you need to always be very, very vigilant with that decision, and not let those sort of external factors get in the way.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome. Nice, yes, this is another one.
He's pretty far out.
Yeah, so I think there's a few things to consider here. So the hit we get to open him up is a downer, right? I think that's always a good thing to establish is like, what was the hit we got
where
in
it
the first
starts,
place, right? Yeah, the starting point, right? So, you know, from one angle, you can look at this, you know, what could I have done after the shine? But the other angle could be, you know, do I even want to shine?
Do I shine?
Yeah, right?
Like, I think maybe up tilt would have fucked up his DI. He couldn't have DI'd it as well, maybe?
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think up tilt. Sometimes you can down smash here, but I think it's not sort of the right... You know, if he was close to the corner, I'd like down smash, but I think here he's just going to sort of fall to the ledge.
True.
So you could also try and cross up with the shine as well, and that could mess up with his DI, right?
Early do an easier aerial, yeah.
Yeah. So I think another thing you can do here as well is just do another down air, and then that can tech trap him sometimes.
And then play from there.
Yeah, because they're trying to tech now, but if you like do another down air, they can sometimes miss the tech.
And true, and then it's like a free chase or
it's a free like forward smash. Yeah, like all those things, right? So that's always something to look out for when you're looking at punish game stuff. Is like, should I have hit with a different move, or like was the move I hit with fine, and I just have to like play off of it differently, right? We get the shine. So yeah, I think we said that the wave dash was a bit choppy again, right? So if you're sort of like looking through this for like little bits of tech skill to work, and I'd definitely say like the wave lands and the wave dashes maybe need a bit of work.
Wave shines, yeah.
Yeah, just any sort of like air dodge into the ground sort of like sequences seem like they might want to be a bit smoother. Because I think with a better wave dash here, it would make this combo a lot easier.
I think he's too far away to follow up on anything at that point.
Yeah, I agree. So I think with the movements you did, again, talking about making that assessment of can we hit him or do we have to reset? I think we have to reset in this one. But I think the way it could have worked was A, with a cleaner wave dash, and B, you also end up walking out of this, right?
Instead of dashing.
Yeah. So the reason that happens is because the wave dash was like more delayed than you thought it would be, so you've already pressed forward like too early.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
That's
so,
fucking
like...
crazy. You immediately knew what that was. I would have saw that and I was like, oh, why did I walk?
Why'd I walk? Yeah, exactly. But it's not your fault, right? The only thing, again, sometimes you can feel that you've messed up and then delay your input on purpose. But that's like really, really hard to do, honestly.
I don't think I'm gonna be.
I don't think we're on that level yet. But yeah, so I really like the laser you did as sort of like a compromise, right? Like I can't get the hit, so I'm just gonna laser.
Right.
What I felt a bit, I felt the forward smash was a bit greedy, if I'm being a bit honest here.
Yes, very greedy.
Like, you know, he's all the way over here, you know. Not even, like, Marth F smash is hitting this, right?
Yeah.
And the reason I have an issue with it, you know, again, you might see it and be like, oh, okay, well, it didn't hit, but it's not that bad. But, you know, he could, if he didn't shine here, for example, like, he could have just side beat you and maybe got a kill. Right?
Yeah, he could have. I mean, it wouldn't hit in any universe, so it is just greedy.
Yeah, it's sort of just like, you're sort of giving up a lot. You're giving up all your advantage, I feel like. Or most
At the
of your
ledge.
advantage. Yeah, yeah.
Which is where I could be killing him right now.
Yeah, because imagine, like, when you did that forward smash, you were actionable. You know, he double jumped and up beat in a really, like, easy to hit
Juicy
spot, right?
spot.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. So this is another one I felt like was kind of interesting to talk about. And this is why analyzing punish game can be a bit tricky sometimes. Because we see this, and we're like, that was a good combo, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, you got him off stage, you got the hit. But, you know, sometimes there's a bit more, like, you know, what's a better combo we could get, you know? That sort of thing.
I think...
Any ideas?
Shine... What would be? Just shine back air instead of just back air?
Yeah, yeah, I think going for shine there.
Or shine up B?
Yeah, shine up B is really good. So that was one of the main ones I was thinking of here. The problem with that in this one specifically is look how you sort of do your movement to get the bear. So like how do you jump?
I like instantly double jump.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're double jumping, then you can't shine a B, right? Because you need to double
Right.
jump out the shine. So how you combo off this is determined by like how you use the jump. Again, the sort of the movement.
What my intention was beforehand.
Yeah, yeah. So if you've used the double jump here, then you don't have that option to shine anymore. But you can still do, for example, a weak aerial. So you could do like a weak rising bear.
Nair?
Yeah, or weak nair is another good one. Weak fair if your name is Bobby Big Balls. You know. But yeah, there's quite a few things here. But yeah, it's sort of like the double jump here that you did. It sort of locked you into that mix-up of like weak aerial, strong aerial. Yeah, which is fine, but again, you just sort of have to realize that in the moment. Because the fact that like the shine came to mind for you first there, maybe says that you're maybe not aware of like how you'd punish sort of DI in when you've already double jumped, right? Because I'm sure you've seen people do like shine up B before or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so the other thing you could do here is you could do this wave shine and then wait a little bit for him to fall, and then you could full hop, right?
Right.
Because you only need to use your double jump to get up to him if
he's way higher.
He's way higher, yeah, but you have time to let him fall, right? Like you were saying, milking the hit stun.
Milk that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So then that can also be good because then you can do either the full hop bear or you could do like full hop shine up B, right?
Right.
As sort of a mix-up.
Which
but yeah,
would have killed them in this spot, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's not... This combo wasn't bad by any means, but it's sort of like, if you never go for the extension, then you always get sort of like, not a great edge guard. Like, I wouldn't say this is an amazing edge guard, you know. Fox has his double jump, he got hit really high, he can sort of...
He's got lots of ways to get back.
Exactly, yeah, but imagine if he DI'd that bear badly, right? Like,
then
he's
way off stage.
Yeah, he's either dead or he's way off stage. He's a lot lower, which is relevant. But, you know, how do we get him to do that DI? We have to go for more of those combo extenders, right? To incentivize him. It's sort of going back to what we were saying about, you know, what do you have surrounding it, right? Like, how do we get this tool to work?
Oh, I see it. So not just in a neutral sense, but also in like in a punish sense.
Exactly. And you can see again there, right? Like, you know, we're getting strong aerials, and he's at 140, and he's still not dying. So
yeah,
that's how important it is, right? Like, I think you've hit him like 4 or 5 times this stock, and you know.
So like having like, I guess a more I can't think of the word fluent punish will just get them to die faster.
Yeah, yeah, it's sort of like. Again, you're not doing anything like wrong per se, but it's sort of like you could be getting a bit more value, if that makes sense.
Or I could be killing them way faster and losing less toxins.
And I mean, sometimes you'll go for that weak hit and they will DI away, and that's fine. But, you know, the other half of the time, they're dying from the weak hit, right?
Right.
So it's sort of like
then it becomes, I see what you're saying, and then it becomes, well, if they DI away, then I can go back to doing the single aerial strong hit, and then they die.
Exactly, yep. Okay, awesome. Okay. Yeah, so I think with this one, because we said about talking about edge guarding a little bit as well.
Yeah.
I think there was a couple of things. So I like these lasers. And then once you got to here, I think you want to shoot the laser a bit higher here. So how do you feel about your control over, like, laser heights?
I think if I really focused on it, I could get them low or high, or like where I want them to. But it's definitely not something that's unconscious.
Yeah, okay. So I think that's super important, you know, not just for neutral, but also for, like, situations like this. So the reason we want to shoot a high laser here is because we don't, like, the whole goal of the lasers is to force him low, right? Like, we don't want him to recover all the way up here because it's harder to edge cover. Yeah, so by shooting the high laser, we're sort of cutting off this jump, essentially. Yeah, whereas you see how he double jumps here, and he goes over your laser. Whereas if you'd have shot it maybe up here, then there was a better chance of it sort of catching him. And especially if a laser catches Fox out of the double jump as well, that's when it's a really rough situation for him, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's not just about shooting the lasers, it's also sort of like placing them where he's trying to recover to, if that makes sense.
True.
Yeah? Awesome.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah, and then the second part here, I think, was just you probably want to be a little bit closer to the edge. You see how you're sort of far back?
Right.
I would probably want to be around here. So your hitbox is still in a good place, but you see how you're sort of like too far away for it to even hit here? You know? Whereas if you'd have been like a bit there,
Yeah, I do see that.
And you know, if you were there and you didn't want to bear, you could just choose to down air instead, right? And that could also hit this angle. But I like the idea of sort of bearing him going above the stage.
I think that's what my thought was. I thought he would. I mean, I guess most foxes would just go to ledge, but I thought he would go above it.
Yeah, and I think that's fine, but I think by starting here, you can always move back to this position with the back air, right? If you want to.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, whereas
you keep it all available to you.
Yeah, whereas I feel like it's kind of harder to go from here to here, rather than starting from a good position and then moving and sort of adjusting, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep. I think the other thing you can go for as well is just grabbing ledge a bit more in these sorts of spots. So if you like wave dash to ledge here, and then you can
that would have covered way more.
yeah. So you sort of go to the ledge, and then you can do like a drop down shine to hit this sort of area, because this area is sort of difficult for Falco to hit, right? Like the bear doesn't really reach. They can tech the down air. And of course there's counterplay to the shine, but it makes it a bit harder for Fox, I feel like.
That was my thought too. Just grabbing the ledge just eliminates way more options.
Yeah, so you can either go for a shine, or you can go for like a low down air. You could try and get the ledge and then read him going on stage and then like double jump and back air. That's what Mango does sometimes. But I think, yeah, like you said, it just gives you some more options, I think. Because you see how he just gets on stage and then gets a reversal.
I do see that.
Yeah. Okay, so I think there's maybe like one more punish thing, which I'll mention when it comes up, and then we can start to look at that the low percent stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I thought this was quite a big punish one as well. So up throw. So you up throw and then you went for a back air, right?
Right.
So do you have any thoughts on why I might be a bit skeptical?
I think that was a no-brain up throw. I think I just should have done anything else, in all honesty.
I mean, I think
the only thing it really would cover is just him running straight at me.
I thought the up throw was fine, to be honest. I think I have more of a sort of issue with like the option you picked off of the up throw.
Oh, that's what I more meant was like what happened
Okay.
after the throw.
Yeah,
Like that
yeah.
was just kind of a no-brain aerial.
Yeah, yeah. So I feel like there's sort of two parts to this. So there's like where they went from the move that you hit them with, right? Which was the up throw, and then also like what move you chose to follow up with, right? So
Right.
I feel like the back air at this percent, and this will be sort of similar to the neutral thing we go over. It sort of like doesn't do
Accomplish
much.
anything.
Yeah, it racks up percent, which is pretty valuable, but it also puts you in like sort of a rough position because you're really high in the air now, right?
Right.
You know, if he didn't shine, for example, he could have maybe gotten under you and set up a bit of an advantage. But I think if I'm going to try and up throw somebody and combo them, I want to do something again that's sort of higher reward, right?
Right.
So I feel like what you want to be looking for here is to shine him.
Okay.
Now, obviously, it's quite hard because the platform's here, and he DI'd quite well. But generally, what I'm looking for off of the up throw is to dash towards where they DI to, and then jump shine.
Okay.
Just because it can set up a combo if you if they don't get full DI away on the shine, and it's also like it's just more valuable in terms of like percent than the back
Than
air,
the
and it
back
puts you in
air.
a better position if the shine hits.
Right.
So that was all I had to say about that, really. So I'll just wait for the other punish one I wanted to talk about. Yeah, so it was here. So this is a fairly common thing that happens with Falco. So you shine him when he's in this mistech, and you see how he like flies away, and he's not in hit stun.
Yeah, I do see that.
Yeah, yeah. So do you know why that happens?
Is it because of Shina's tail?
Yep, that's exactly it. So so that's something that sort of like you can maybe keep track of when it's like the start of your stock, of whether it's going to be stale or not. But when it's like the middle of a stock like this, you usually it's safer to just assume that the shine is stale.
Okay.
Because you use it a lot in a match, right?
Right.
So it's usually going to be stale. So when we're thinking about punishing this mistech, we want to think about options we can do instead of the shine usually. So if you got any
Because
ideas?
more often than not, it'll be stale and he'll just fly up anyways.
Yeah, exactly. So the only time I would consider shining here would be like, say, you just come down from the respawn and then you dash attacked him, right? Because then
So
it's
does
going
this-
to be unstale.
Does this apply to text too, or is text it's like
No, it's only
operates
the
different?
mistech.
It's only the mistech. Okay.
Yep.
Up tilt,
Yep.
F smash.
Yep. I think both of those are good. Yeah, no, I mean it seems like you know already what you do instead. But yeah, I thought I'd point it out because it does happen a lot. And again, it sort of like ends your combo here, right? Like you can't really get
Right.
anything. And again, look what happens when we're not aware that like that can happen with the shine, and then we overextend, we go for the nair. Fox is landing on top of
Right,
us. We're
I
in the
do
corner.
I
you know?
do the greedy. I can get him.
And-
I can get him.
And you actually die in the end for this, right?
I do
So-
that.
Yeah, so you died off of getting him into a mistech. Which, like, when you just say that out loud, it's sort of like,
That's-
that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, he
You know?
should be dead right now.
So yeah, so that's why it's just important.
So what you were talking about, like, I should have took my turn back. He's like flying way the fuck away. I can't get to him.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was, like, one of the main themes I wanted to sort of, like, get down with you today with the punish game stuff was just about not overextending. If you sort of pick the wrong option or something goes wrong, and how to sort of, like, diagnose
Play
the punish.
afterwards.
Yeah, and how to place so that you don't have to reset, right?
Oh, could you repeat that last part? You cut out.
Oh, No, I was just saying, like, also how you can sort of, like, go about figuring out what to do instead. Yeah, yeah. So that you don't have to reset because you mess up, right?
Right.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about the.
Do you mind if I just jot down a couple of?
Go for it. Yeah, yeah. I need to look
points.
Look through this for some situations anyway.
Ready? Go!
Okay.
You all good?
Yeah.
Alright, awesome. Okay. So yeah, so the first one I wanted to talk about was here. So this is just moving on to that the second sort of like topic here, which is playing around Fox at low percent, right?
Right.
So you'll notice straight away at the start, you try and he's in the air, and you try and down air him, right? And you'll see he actually lands and then is actionable before you. So this is something that happens when you down air people out of the air if they're not in hit stun and they're below the percent where it knocks down. So this down air isn't knocking him down, right? It's just like hitting him into the ground. And he wasn't in hit stun because, you know, he didn't get shined or anything like that. And this is really bad for you, right? Because, you know, he could shine you, for example, here. You know, he can move and you can't. So we want to be really careful with this. And it's especially big in matchups like Peach and Puff, where they're in the air a lot.
Because they'll just jump and rest you.
Yeah, they can rest you. Peach down smashes you. They can grab you. You know, they can do whatever. But it's also pretty relevant versus other characters as well. So this is one of the reasons why, like, doing sort of like rising downers at low percent isn't that great a lot of the time. Is because you're in a lot of lag after, and you know, they land before you and they can sort of hit you. So what we want to be looking for instead is hits that are sort of like they're not going to get as reversaled for it, right?
Right.
So I'll go over a couple, and then, you know, you can try and think of some others that you could add to this. So the first one I'd say here, instead of down airing, you could go for like a different aerial, right? You could go for like back air if you had your back turned. Or you could up air maybe if you think he's going to jump off. There's also a pretty good grounded anti-air move that I'm sure you can guess. Yeah, up tilt, right? So up tilt's going to cover this space.
Fuck them up.
Yeah, it's going to cover this space really nicely when they're in the air. They can't crouch cancel it because they're in the air, right? And, you know, it's going to lead to like a shine or another up tilt or something. Or the other thing you can do as well is just grabbing or shining is both really good at low percent as well, right? Because again, they're hits where like you're not going to get reversaled for it.
They can't. I mean, I guess they could CC the shine, but
yeah, it doesn't really do anything,
money.
Right?
Their money.
Yeah. But like examples of stuff we don't want to do is like dash attack at 0, right? Because he's just going to land and hit you, or forward smash at 0.
Smash.
Yeah, right. So that was big there. So just why I wanted to sort of like get into your head here is sort of like Fox is in the air. I don't want to be down airing him at this percent. I want to be back airing, up tilting, or like waiting for him to land and then doing something.
Or like a late aerial, like a late dare.
Yeah, like a late one could make it work better here, but I'd still advise against down airing if opponents are in the air at this sort of percent.
Right.
Okay, so I'll just watch this until we get the next sort of one. Just go towards the next tuck till he's at 0 again. Yeah, so I thought this worked a lot better for playing around Fox in the air, right? So he jumps here, and then you wait for him to, you don't like down air immediately, you wait for him to land, and then you grab him, right? And then, you know, if you sort of combine that with what we were saying about punishing a bit more effectively, then, you know, this could have been a decent opening, right? Yeah. So this is one of those down airs where it doesn't really do anything, right? Like you were sort of saying at the start. So you get the down air, and it hits him, but it's sort of like you're way too far away to do anything. So instead of this down air, there's a couple things we could do. If you wanted the down air to work, again, you probably want to either do a late down air, or sometimes you can do like a backflip down air. I don't know if you've seen anybody do that. It's sort of like
I don't think I'm that fancy.
It's sort of like, have you seen when Wizzy does like the Wizzy stomp, right, or the Lord stomp,
right?
Whatever you want to call it. It's sort of the same, but with Falco. And it can work a bit better because the dare hits later. So that can be useful, but yeah, just like delaying the down air in some way so that it hits later is good here. Or the other thing again is we could go for a different move, right? Thinking about move choice. So maybe.
Shine.
Yeah, shine, right? So especially if you can execute dash into jump shine well, that can be a really good option here. Yeah?
That would be hard to get my that would be hard to. Yeah, I mean, thank you for having faith in me.
No, I think you can do it. From watching the rest of you of Tech Skill, I think you'd be able to pick it up. It's sort of like, it's a nice option because it's sort of like a...
You cut out again.
Oh.
Sorry, it seems like you've been cutting out a little bit.
Can you hear me again?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, that's weird. Okay. Yeah, no, I was just going to say it's sort of like the dash jump shine is a nice option because it's sort of like a similar speed to going for an aerial, right?
But it's a shine.
But it's a shine, so it's going to work better at lower percents, right? Because you actually get a hit that, like, sets them up instead of this sort of down air where it, you know, it doesn't really lead to anything, right?
Yeah.
And again, like we said before, you know, you could go for like a back air, you could go for a grab instead. But I just really want you to think about some other options other than this, like, rising down air, right?
Right. Have a better vocabulary.
Yeah, because it's sort of like, you know, you got this hit, which is fine, but you didn't really get anything off of it. But, you know, what if the fox shielded here, right? And then he shined you for the down air.
And
you
now
know,
I'm dead.
you took a decent risk to not get much reward, right? So,
yeah.
And you can
so,
see...
like, think more... Oh, go ahead.
No, go on.
So, like, think more about what options I'm using. Oh, not even just at low percent or even at high or mid or higher percents. Like, think about, like, what would be more appropriate moves at what percentage.
Exactly. Yeah, so you can see the difference with this down air that you go for. It's the exact same... Pretty much the exact same down air, but there was two main differences in my mind with this one. So do you want to have a think or a guess about what you think those are?
Let me see.
So I'll play the first one.
I actually landed near him to shine.
Yep, that was the first one. So the spacing, right? So with this one, look at where you're spaced originally. And look at how you do your aerial. Like, you jump fully in, right?
Right.
Whereas on this first one, you're right next to him when you go for it, and then you land way too far away, right? And then the second thing is just what we were talking about in terms of percent, right? You know, this time he's at 22 and you hit this. And he's in enough hit stun for you to be able to combo off of it.
Exactly, yeah.
Awesome. Oh, you did the backflip down there, right?
Wait, I did? Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean now.
Yeah. Yeah, you did it. Alright, let's get to the next stock. Yep, So another one here, right?
The nair that will hit nobody.
Yeah, so I feel like the only reason you'd want to nair here is if you thought he would jump out of shield, maybe. Like, that's the only world I can see it sort of, like, hitting him. Because, you know, if it hits him on the ground and it's a rising nair, then, you know, he's probably going to be able to, like, CC and then shine you. Or, you know, maybe it won't even have enough hit stun to combo. But if a nair hits somebody out of the air, it's usually a pretty good opportunity for a combo. But, you know, he's so close that he probably doesn't want to jump, right? Because, you know, he could get hit by pretty much anything you do. So this is a spot where I'd maybe think about, you know, maybe going for a grab. Or you could go for, again, like a dash and jump shine.
Dash, jump shine?
Yeah.
Or like a, just like, get him in the shield and then just like short hop over an aerial.
Yeah, so that was the other thing I was going to say is, you know, you could try and play a mix-up here where you sort of read what he's going to do, right? Like, some foxes here will try to shine out of the laser. So if you can, like, get around that and then late down at him, that can be a really big opening. Or,
yeah, like the shield, him shielding here is like an opportunity for me to be able to fuck him up afterwards.
Yeah, exactly, right? But it's sort of like you get this and then you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna nap. And then you get shined, right?
And then I get in the corner.
Yeah. So we want to be thinking these situations through a bit more, like structuring them a bit better. You know, how can I make all these tools? I've got the grab, the shine, the aerial. How can I make all of those work, right? Instead of just sort of like sending it with the nair.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, okay. And then, yeah, I won't hop on any more finish game stuff, but I would advise you, like, go over this game after as well for the rest of the two stocks. And, you know, sort of look for similar things that we sort of talked about, right?
Okay.
Finish game.
I know we're coming close on time here.
Yeah, no problem. I can do a few minutes more of this.
Did we talk about everything that we were going to talk about?
Yeah, so the third and final thing was just about the dash dance down air you were doing. And that was more of like a minor point, to be honest. But we can spend the last sort of 5 minutes or so going over that. So I feel like it's important to think about why what you're doing is working, right? So we want to see, like, when you're getting these down airs, what was the opponent doing, right? So I feel like what was happening a lot of the time with these was your opponent was trying to up tilt, right? Like, he whiffs the up tilt, you get the down air, right? The dash dance down air. And then I think it happens later on this stock. Yep, happens there. I think it happens in the second stock as well. Skip through a little bit. That one as well, right? So anytime this guy's up tilting, you know, this down air, this dash dance down air that we're doing is working really well. But then when we skip to, like, I think it's about the second stock. Have a look what he does after the laser, and see what you do, or see what happens when you try to do the dash dance sort of down there.
Okay.
I don't have the exact time sort of memory.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot going on, but yeah, it's
I have a question. Oh, it's coming up.
Yeah. So what happened that time? What did Fox do?
He jumped.
Yeah, he full hopped, right? So if he full hops and you try and do the dash dance down there, he's above you, right? So he's gonna have a really good time hitting you.
And then I get chunked.
Yeah. And then this one, you know, the down air doesn't hit, but the shine did after, which was sort of lucky in my mind. But,
yeah, that was lucky.
Yeah, but you can see that time he didn't do the up tilt. He jumped and then
he just dashed away.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, see again, he's full hopping now. So
I do see that.
Yeah. So let's have a quick think about how we can play this differently, and then we can go back to that little question you had, and then I think that's a good place to wrap up. Yeah, so this guy is obviously seeing this down here doing, and his response in his head for whatever reason is, I need to start jumping over this, right? Does that make sense? Or
Yeah.
yeah. So what sort of options can you think about that would deal with him trying to jump? Any ideas?
You could dash dance like right outside where he commits to the jump, and then try and like aerial him around. That's a hard thing for me to try and put into words.
Yeah,
like,
no, I get
yeah,
that. Yeah. So sort of like playing around the space he's controlling with the full hop, right?
right.
Yeah.
Or you can like directly challenge it with like an up air or up tilt.
Yeah. So there's sort of like two ideas there, right? It's either we want to hit him out of the full hop itself, or we sort of want to play around the space of it and sort of play the next situation, right?
Right.
So, with the dash dance Danny you're doing, the reason he can full hop out is because you're giving him time to move, right? Because you're dash dancing, expecting him to like up tilt, right?
Or do something.
Play around.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But he's sort of like consciously or not being like, oh, this guy's giving me time to move, so I'm gonna jump out of the way, right?
Okay.
So, but if we don't give him that time when we just immediately go in here, that's when we can sort of like stuff him, right? So, for example, with this one, what if you jumped here and then you just immediately went forward, right? And just like jumped and shined him, or like up air, like you said, or nared him,
right? Or I could nair him, right?
Yeah.
Then that doesn't work.
Yeah, but you can see how like ignore if he's shielding here, but you can see how those options you just listed, they're the ones that lose to that up tilt he was doing, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So that's why the sort of mix-up comes into play. But you don't have
with like
to...
the laser approach or the laser dash dance dare.
Yeah, but it's sort of like you don't have to commit to one of those two, right? You could also just do the laser and then wait, right? And if he does the full hop and you play outside of it, you get a bit of an advantage. And if he whiffs the up tilt, it's still sort of like nothing's gone wrong, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're just both still in neutral. You have a little bit of an advantage because he's just whiffed. But you don't always have to be like specifically calling out something and getting the hit immediately. Sometimes you can just like wait a little bit, and you might find
take your time.
Yeah, you might find that somebody, this guy, like after he full hops, maybe he dashes away every time, right? And then that's another opening you can sort of abuse, right?
And then I fuck him up every time.
Yeah, and it just gives you sort of like more layers and more opportunities to get hits, right? Whereas it feels like at the moment you're sort of living and dying by this dash dance down air hitting him, right?
Yeah, that was what I was gonna lead into like my question before we wrap up
go
here.
For it.
Is like,
go for it.
What am I? This sounds like a really stupid question. I don't feel like it's a stupid question. Like, what am I supposed to be thinking about while I'm like playing people?
That's a very loaded question.
Like, I know that's a loaded question, but it's like, a lot of like when I do analysis and when I like, I'm like a fan of like Drug Fox, so I'm like in his Discord, I'm looking through his VODs. It's like
awesome. Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that makes the most sense to me is like when he'll say something like, when you're on top platform, to get back to the bottom of the stage, go to the side platform first and then work your way down.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff makes sense to me. It's like,
yeah.
It's like I don't know what like I could think about all kinds of shit while I'm playing, but it's like I guess what I'm asking is in a general, like as a framework, like what, I don't know. I guess that is a super loaded question.
It's quite open-ended, right? I'll give you a few things to think about.
Because like I was stuck in like this idea of, I just need to dash dance dare him or whatever. It's like should I just like not try and think and just work like unconsciously, or?
So I feel
that's
like
honestly why I got the lesson was I feel like you've seen me through this lesson. Like I have a pretty good understanding of the game and what's going on. I'm not perfect or anything, but that was one of the main things. It's like the game's so nebulous and there's so many things to think about. It's like what the fuck are you supposed to think about while you're playing?
Yeah. I mean, I think on a very basic level, what you want to think about is how can I create some sort of advantage, or which could be spacing, stage control, getting him to whiff something, hitting him with a laser, like all those things, or how do I hit him, right? And they're like
Just
sort of two different things. Yeah. But you sort of need to be in a good spot to hit him first, right? Like I'd say this is a pretty good spot, right?
Yeah.
But
if you're not in a spot to hit him, how do you get in the spot?
Yeah, how do you get to a point where I can now hit him, right? I think like if you're really, really lost, I think that's the sort of like very basic thing to think about. There is actually a good flowchart in Drug Fox's Discord that I could link you after.
Okay.
That sort of goes over that a bit more. But the second part I'd say as well is sort of like you only have a limited amount of space in your brain, right, while you're playing. You can only think about a certain you can only think about a certain amount of things. So the ideal goal is that you want everything you do to be sort of like subconscious adaptations, right? Like you don't want to have to think about it as many things as possible, right? So like
many things.
Yeah, so like this mix up of like, do I dash dance down air him, or do I call out the full hop, or do I wait?
I don't have to think about it.
Yeah, ideally you don't think about that, right? Like if you were able to get inside Mango's head, he isn't thinking about that, right? Because the game's sort of like too fast to be trying to like think of answers on the fly as they're happening. Down. Yeah. You just sort of have to play off of instinct and your intuition, and that isn't to say you should never analyze and only take things as they come. But it's sort of like you want to have the answers pre-prepared, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
You will definitely run into stuff that you don't know how to deal with. I run into stuff I don't know how to deal with. Mango runs into stuff he doesn't know how to deal with. Every player does, right? But that's just part of the sort of like process of learning and getting better, right? Yeah, exactly. So for now, I think the way for you to approach this is to sort of like let's just take this dash dance down air sort of situation we talked about, and just have a think about what are the different options I can do, right? What is my opponent doing in response to this, and how do I counter that response, right? Okay. So like with this one, it was I either call out the full hop with a move, or I can sort of like play around it. Or what if you play someone that dashes back after the laser instead of up tilt?
Like
right?
every time. Like
yeah, what then would you do, right? And that's sort of how you build it up, and you need to, and this is going to sound like a lot, but you need to do that for every single situation that comes up. Right?
In the whole game.
Yep, in the whole game. And obviously you can't do that all in one go, but you'll find a lot of patterns with that stuff. How Fox deals with it is sometimes similar to how another character might deal with it, and you'll also get quicker at it.
So I'm just gonna start with that. I think I'm just gonna start with how do I hit them, get in a better spot to hit them, and go from
and go from there. And I'll leave you with the final thing of it doesn't matter if you're sort of slow with this at first. Like you're just sort of building up recognition, and you will get sort of faster over time with like these situations. It's quite natural to be sort of slow and hesitant at first, right? As you're sort of building confidence.
All right.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. So it sounds like you've got some notes that you prepared, so I won't confuse you with writing some of my own.
No, I mean please do. Okay, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So I also record all these lessons. So I usually upload them to. I've got like a YouTube playlist of them. If you're okay with it to be public.
Oh, please upload my shit. Yeah.
Right, awesome. Yeah. So the other thing I'm planning on doing as well is sort of like taking chunks of these VODs and just like condensing them down to like 10 seconds, 30 seconds. Both to sort of like advertise Metafy a bit better, but it's also I think you'll help people like you or other students, you see a little chunk and it'll sort of like remind you, right, of something we talked
Right.
about. So if you're happy with me to do that with this lesson as well, or
Oh,
any
dude,
in the future.
take whatever you need, man. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. Yeah, no problem. Okay, yeah. So, did you have any sort of like questions with anything that went on today, or is that all good?
No, I think yeah, I think it's just like with the people I'm starting to play against, like how the MMR is now. You gotta play the better people,
Yeah.
and it's just like I'm dying every time I get hit, and it's like if I don't kill them when I hit them, then I'm dead. And
Yeah.
it's like I think this whole session kind of accentuate whatever that word is, that
Yeah.
it's like if you don't kill them and if they touch you, you're just gone.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely a very punishing game if you mess up. But yeah, awesome. So I think if you did want to do another session, I do think there's a few more things we could have gone over.
Do you think I would benefit from another session?
I think so. Yeah, I mean it depends on. So you did. We can briefly touch on this, but you said about you've only got like 5 hours, right?
Yeah.
So
somewhere around there.
How I would probably break that down is like 3 hours of playing, 1 hour of like practice on your own, and 1 hour of watching VODs.
Analysis.
Yeah. So I feel like we got a pretty good idea of what you want to practice when you're playing someone, but I don't think we got too much in terms of like practicing on your own. And I don't think we got too much in terms of like analysis. So if you wanted to do another session, I think focusing on one of those two would be really good. So I do actually offer one which is like creating a training routine, and sort of like what to practice, and I think that would be really useful.
I'm down. I think I'm gonna chew on this for a while, but I'll definitely hit you back up.
For sure. And yeah, I always offer, if you want to message me anytime about anything we've talked about, I'll get back to you when I can.
You definitely got a customer, brother. I'm coming back.
Awesome, thank you. I appreciate it. I hope you had fun. With
No,
this
dude.
lesson.
I hope you do well. I found you because I was in that. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm just kind of lazy, and I hate getting in the lab and just doing the things because it's so annoying. I hate setting up the replays and shit. So I went into the Falco Discord. I just asked a question. I'm like, dude, I'm getting chunked by Falcon's pressure. It's like, am I just bad or is that actually good? And you came in and you're like, no, it's just good. You just have to work around.
Oh yeah, I remember
Fox pressure. And I was like, oh wow, this guy's smart as fuck. And then I saw you destroy some Ganon at some tournament. I was like, damn, this guy's really good.
Okay. Awesome. Was it no fluxes?
It was no.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah.
I remember you like 3 stars. Like, holy shit, this guy's really good.
Yeah. No. It's always nice to hear how people sort of find out about the coaching. But yeah, awesome. Well, let's leave it there.
All right, man.
But I'll link you to the recording when it's all good. But
all right.
Hope you have a good rest of your day.
Take it easy, man. Thanks
I'll see you again.
Peace.